Picture this: a flat patch of desert in California, dust in the air, no shade, no real reason to be there, and over 100,000 human beings pressed shoulder to shoulder, all facing the same direction. They paid thousands of dollars to be there. Some crossed state lines, others traveled across oceans. They'll barely have shelter to sleep, definitely won't eat well, and a lot of them can't even see the stage from where they're standing. And yet many of them will claim this is the best weekend of their lives. In 1969, 500,000 people turned up at Woodstock, hosted on a dairy farm in upstate New York. Enter Glastonbury, Coachella, Tomorrowland. And long before that, tens of thousands were packing into open-air amphitheaters in ancient Athens to hear music at the festival of Dionysia. We have been doing this for a very long time. So why do humans gather in massive crowds to listen to music together? And what is actually happening to us when we do? Before we get to Coachella, let's go all the way back. There is no known human culture without music, not one. Every society anthropologists have ever studied, every tribe, every empire, every isolated island community has had music. Different instruments, yes. Different rhythms, absolutely. But always music. And in almost every one of those cultures, music wasn't something you consumed alone. It was something you made with other people. Around a fire, at a funeral, during a harvest, at a wedding, even before a war. The idea of putting headphones and listening to music by yourself is actually a very recent concept. For most of human history, music was inherently social. We sang, watched other people sing, or moved to music as a group. Some researchers think music might even be older than language itself. Archaeologist Stephen Mitten has argued that our pre-language ancestors communicated through something closer to song, using pitch and rhythm and repetition before they had words. Whether or not his theories are 100% accurate, the pattern suggests we've been gathering to make sound together for as long as we've been in existence. The real question isn't why festivals like Coachella exist. It's why Coachella is the latest iteration of something we never stopped doing. In 1912, a French sociologist named Émile Durkheim was trying to figure out where religion actually comes from. He wasn't researching whether a particular religion was accurate. He was asking something more fundamental. Why do humans across every culture keep inventing rituals, deities, and sacred experiences? What is the underlying mechanism? His theory was unexpected, but it stuck around for over a century. Durkheim studied accounts of Aboriginal Australian ceremonies, gatherings where people would come together after weeks or months of being apart. They would dance and chant in unison and enter a kind of shared altered state. He noticed that the people in these rituals described a feeling of something bigger than themselves, a presence they couldn't explain, something they could only call sacred. Durkheim's theory was that this sacred feeling wasn't coming from a god, but from the group itself. When a bunch of humans synchronize, whether it's moving together, chanting together, or focusing on the same thing together, they start to feel the group as a single entity. They feel uplifted, energized, and deeply connected. And because that feeling is so intense and so unlike their regular life, they interpret it as something divine. He called it collective effervescence, defined as the intense shared emotional energy and sense of unity experienced when people gather for a common purpose. And if you have ever been in a crowd at a concert when the lights come up and 20,000 people scream the same lyrics, you've probably felt this same thing. And that's just not a metaphor. That is literally what Durkheim is describing. The only thing that has changed in 100 years is the setting. The really interesting thing is that modern research has backed Durkheim up in ways he couldn't have predicted. We now know that when people move in sync, dancing, singing, drumming together, their brains release endorphins. These are the same chemicals involved in a runner's high. They're natural painkillers, and they create a feeling of euphoria and bonding. Robin Dunbar, the Oxford anthropologist, has researched a lot of studies on this topic. In one, he found that people who sang in a group had measurably higher pain tolerance afterwards than people who sang alone. Same song, same amount of singing, but doing it together changed the chemistry. Other studies have found that when people sing or chant in unison, their heart rates can actually start to synchronize. Their breathing also aligns, and they begin to function physiologically, almost as a single organism. On top of that, crowds trigger oxytocin. That's the hormone involved in trust and social bonding. It's the same thing released when a mother holds a newborn baby, or when you hug someone you love. So here's what's happening at a concert, biologically speaking. Your body is literally releasing painkillers. You're syncing up with the people around you at a heart and breath level. You're flooded with a bonding hormone, and your sense of self is quietly dissolving into the sense of the group. Durkheim called that feeling sacred. Modern neuroscience calls it a predictable outcome of chemistry. There's another idea worth mentioning from Victor Turner, another anthropologist who studied rituals across cultures in the 1960s. He noticed that inside a ritual, normal rules stop applying. Status falls away. The king and the peasant are temporarily equal. Everyone wears similar clothes, acts the same way, feels the same thing. Turner called this state Communitas, a kind of stripped-down, raw human togetherness that only exists inside the ritual frame. Festivals, he argued, are one of the last remaining places where this happens in modern life. Think about it. At a festival, the CEO and the barista are standing in the same mud. They're wearing similar clothes, they're singing the same words. The usual societal hierarchy doesn't apply there, and that's the whole point. Humans seem to yearn this experience. Across cultures, across centuries, we keep building structures where we can temporarily suspend our ordinary identities and become part of something bigger. Whether it's a carnival in Brazil, a howlie in India, whirling dervishes in Turkey, or a mosh pit at a metal concert in New Jersey. All of these are in Turner's terms the same thing, a break from normal life, a brief glimpse of what it feels like to be a we instead of an I. Which brings us to why festivals have only gotten better. For most of human history, collective rituals were baked into everyday life. People went to church together on Sunday, they celebrated harvests together, they mourned together. They married off their cousins in communal ceremonies, and the whole village would attend. But over the last century or so, a lot of that has thinned out in a lot of places. Fewer people attend religious services, families are more scattered, work is increasingly remote, and third spaces are dwindling. We live more of our lives on screens alone in our own rooms than we do with other people beside us. And yet the human need for collective experience hasn't gone away. It's the same need Durkheim saw in the desert in 1912. The same need that filled Greek amphitheaters 2,500 years ago. The same need that will drive someone to spend $600 to fly to California and stand in 100-degree heat to sing along with 80,000 strangers. The container changes, the need doesn't. Reporting from the live music industry has shown festival attendance climbing for years, even as almost every other form of in-person gathering is declining. That's not a coincidence. When traditional rituals fade, people don't stop needing them. They just find new ones. Lollapalooza is just a ritual in a costume. So why do humans gather in massive crowds for music? If you ask the 100,000 people at Coachella, most of them would probably say something like, because I love the artist. And that's true, but it's not the entire story. The answer is that the artist is the symptom and the crowd is the remedy. You aren't actually there to hear a song you could stream and hear better at home. You're there to stand next to strangers and feel for a few hours like you're part of something bigger than yourself. You were there for the oldest reason any human has ever gathered at one place, a 100-year-old instinct wearing wristbands and sunscreen. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoy learning about the hidden reasons behind human rituals, behaviors, and other traditions, be sure to subscribe to my channel and also watch my other videos while you're here. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments or in the community other topics that you'd like me to cover. Until then, I'll see you next time.